Hi, my name is Nisani, also known as Nisani's Pilates, and I am creating this video called 10 Things That I Wish That I Knew Prior to Beginning My Pilates Certification. So if you are a person that is about to start their Pilates cert, you're thinking about it and you're kind of unsure, or you know somebody who might need this information, definitely keep watching. So the first thing that I wish that I knew is that there's two different kinds of Pilates trainings that exist. One is for the classical Pilates method, and the second is for the contemporary Pilates method. Now, what is the difference? Classical Pilates strictly follows the original and unchanging sequence of exercises and equipment designed by Joseph Pilates. So the equipment, it's actually really cool. It's rustic and the original beautiful equipment that was created years and years and years ago, and it has made its way into today. And the same thing goes for the movement. There's a very specific order in which things are done in terms of the class and the class order and the sequence that was created by Joseph Pilates, and that is still done today. So kind of similar to dance forms such as ballet, there's a very specific way in which class begins. For example, at the bar, there's a very specific order in which we practice and warm up at the bar, and then we move to the center, and then class ends in maybe jumps and turns. So kind of similar idea in which there is a very specific sequence in way the movement happens. Now, contemporary Pilates, it's similar in terms of the names of the exercises. However, it's just a small spin on the classical method. So I studied contemporary Pilates through Club Pilates, and the movement, the names of the exercises are the same, but there's more freedom in which the class happens in the order. It's a little bit more open to different kinds of people, different kinds of bodies, and is a little more flexible. So think classical offers a rigid system of sequence or the order, and contemporary offers more of a flexible, individualized, and modified exercise program. The second thing that I wish that I knew is there are so many BIPOC scholarships. So when I was starting my journey in 2022, there weren't as many offerings, but it is now 2026 when I'm creating this video, and there's so many more opportunities for your Pilates certification to be either partially or fully funded. To name a few, there is the Kathy Grant Scholarship. Shout out to Kathy Stanford Grant, the first Black woman to learn Pilates and teach it under Joseph Pilates. There's the Pilates Plug. Club Pilates, which is what I did, has a scholarship for BIPOC people. So definitely do your research and figure out which one you might be the most interested in and apply to as many as you can. The third thing that I wish I knew is that after you are granted maybe one or two of these different kinds of scholarships, ask as many questions as you can about the conditions of the scholarship. So, for example, I was offered one. I live here in New York City, and they wanted me to come to Boston on the weekends to learn. I think they also had a location in Philadelphia, so I had to go to the location of the studio that was offering me the scholarship. I was also offered another scholarship where I would have been bound to a contract to work at said studio for 1, 2, maybe 3 years upon receiving my certifications. Some of them have things that they're interested in you partaking in upon accepting the scholarship. So just be sure to ask questions about the conditions of it and what is expected of you if you take it. The fourth thing that I wish that I knew is in some places, you only need maybe a mat or a reformer certification. Now, I did the full comprehensive program, which included mat, reformer, chair, springboard, ladder barrel, spine corrector, and Cadillac. So I learned all of the contemporary Pilates equipment. Classical might have a few more pieces of equipment that I do not have my certification in or under. But in certain cities, you might just need your mat or reformer certification. And There's so much opportunity still available to you with just having those two, and it's significantly less in price. So, definitely something to consider that you may not need the full certification and you can still be a very, very successful instructor. I have some instructor friends who only have their mat and reformer certifications and are doing so well. They work in corporate wellness, they might work in yoga studios, they might work in spaces or studios that just have mat and reformers and are doing just fine. So definitely check it out or think about it. The fifth thing that I wish that I knew is a lot of the certifications vary in length and they vary in price. So I, for my certification through Club Pilates, spent $4,500 on both the books and the certification program. So that was for the full comprehensive. There's so many places and companies that have different certification programs that are within the price range that I mentioned, 4,500, but there are some that are way more. I know that people that spend approximately $10,000, somewhere in between those two numbers for their full certification. The mat certification might be far less, maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000. So they vary, but some of those higher priced ones are more parallel to kind of like a graduate school program where there's a deep study and a deep dive into anatomy and pregnancy studies and a variety of injuries. So it's a really in-depth, deep program, and a lot of them can take a minimum of 8 months to a year. So it depends, but those are the date ranges and the price ranges. The sixth thing that I wish I knew before starting my Pilates certification is my experience with teaching prior to this would be extremely helpful. So I taught preschoolers and kindergartners how to swim. I taught them dance, such as ballet and contemporary. I also taught beginner adult dancers Zumba and cardio and movement-based classes. And I was also a camp counselor, so leading with conviction a group of people that are beginners, whether it was movement or leading a game or something of that nature. But speaking in front of an audience, leading a group, and leading movement was so helpful when it came to becoming a Pilates instructor, because we're most commonly not allowed to demonstrate the movement. So we have to be very orally clear in our training. So you'll learn a lot about that. But if there is any way to get some practice prior to starting your certification, it would be extremely helpful. So definitely recommend. The seventh thing that I wish that I knew before starting my Pilates certification is there are kind of additional unspoken hidden fees that will come up. So programs or studios might ask you to rent space if you're interested in practicing on their equipment. It may or may not be included in your programming, so that's something to consider. I tried my best to avoid some of those fees, so I would practice using a mat on some of my friends or my family members at home and certain things like that to try and get more practice in moving and teaching others, and then I would take it into the studio. So just consider that. There are also some online platforms, recommended or required books, and additional learning options that I would also be aware of that your trainer or your studio might either require or recommend that you get. There's a lot of free resources online. There's YouTube. There's a variety of other things, books that you can maybe borrow from the library or whatever, either free or significantly less. So definitely reach out to your local library, reach out to instructors that are maybe at the studio ahead of you that might be getting rid of some of their things, borrowing online subscriptions from people that are also instructors. Kind of just thinking outside the box a little bit because there are additional fees that are required or recommended. Another thing that I wish that I knew, Pilates instructors make good money. I was fresh out of college when I was pursuing my certification for the first time, and I had no idea how much Pilates instructors were making at the time. So, exact numbers. I live in New York City, so this is more catered to New York City. different in other cities and different in other places. But I make at across 3 different locations between $50 and $75 per hour. Now, I also do a lot of events and entrepreneurial things for myself, working with companies and smaller studios, and I set my own rate, which is up to you and what you're interested in. But here in New York City, it can be between $50 and $75 per class. Now, there's different scales in which studios offer, whether you're paid hourly or per person, but that is kind of the ballpark in which people are being paid, at least now in 2026. So, if you're interested in what the money and the actual number is, it's in that range. The 9th thing that I wish that I knew prior to starting my certification. Girl, ask for help. Ask for help. There are so many instructors that are currently working, whether it's in the studios in your community, online, in different Facebook groups. I can be a resource to you as well, but ask for help if you're interested in knowing more about what the vibe is at a certain studio, what the pay might be, what the program length is, if the program is thorough enough, if it's maybe a little too thorough than what you're interested in. Just ask any kind of questions. There are people that are so excited to help you, me included. So definitely, if you have any questions that are on your mind, comment below and don't be afraid to ask for help. And the last thing that I wish I knew before starting my Pilates certification. There's such a high demand for Pilates at the moment, especially Black and brown women. So definitely believe in yourself because we need you. There's such a lack of people that look like us in the Pilates field, and it's growing, but we need you. And there are a lot of people that are unable to finish the program for whatever reason, and that's totally okay, but definitely know that you can do it. I took maybe about 8 months to finish the program. Might take some folks longer than that. Might take some people a little bit less than that. But definitely see it through. I 100% think it's worth it. And it's a beautiful community to be a part of. So keep pushing. You got this. And I hope to see you working and teaching in Pilates land sometime soon. So if you found this video to be helpful, definitely like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to maybe do a part 2 of this video if there's more. And if I missed anything, definitely comment below and share your dips, your tricks, your thoughts. So I hope that this was helpful for either you or maybe sharing it with somebody else. But that's all I got. And I hope to see you more in some of my movement videos that are on my page. And best of luck. See ya.